We all want to be successful. Everything we do, everything we start doing, we do it because we want to accomplish something in life. Whether it's an adventure, a project, a relationship, anything we do, it's because we want to have success. And so people got interested in realizing and studying if there were any key or secret to success. I don't know if you heard this experiment they did back in the 60s. This professor from Stanford gathered a few children, 4 and 5, and he had them into a room one by one. He promised, I'm going to leave a marshmallow on the table, I'm going to leave the room. If you wait for my coming back and you haven't eaten your marshmallow, I will give you another marshmallow. So you can delay and add 2 marshmallows or just see what happened. So you can imagine how funny was the video that it's actually recording these poor children left alone with a marshmallow on their table. Some didn't even wait for the man to close the door behind them, that jump right away, get a marshmallow and stick it in their mouth. Some they're more struggling and trying to go around and wait. 10 minutes are a long time for anybody. Can you imagine a kid with a marshmallow in front of him? And few succeeded. Few didn't eat the marshmallow. And so the study continued because he tracked the life of those children for after 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And he saw that those who were more successful in life were actually those who delayed that gratification. Those who didn't, they had a better grades, better college education, better works, less trouble with drugs, addiction, and drop off of school. Jesus, in some way, in the gospel, he's telling his disciple a way to be successful. Because he's praising this steward that through hard times is able to get what he wants. Very clear idea, very clear mind, and he gets what he wants. But I think we need to be very careful in the way we read the gospel, because if we just read it superficially, we might think that it's okay, any sort of means, as far as I get what I want. Jesus is not encouraging us to bribe, to go into corruption, to cut corners to get what we want. At that time, what was more important for everyone was honor, your values, how people saw you, how was your reputation. Not much about money and wealth, but your honor. As a matter of fact, if you remember last Sunday's parables of the lost sheep and the lost coin, that was a matter of honor, not to lose sheep for a pastor, not to lose coin for a woman. So if honor is the highest value for society, having a dishonest wealth is not really important. It's like Jesus calls it later on, it's a small matter. It's like going around and trying to have friends with $1 bill tips. They may smile at you and think you're a nice person, but that's not going to make really a big impact in people's life. If you're not trustworthy with small matters, if you're not trustworthy with what belongs to others, who will give you charge for big matters, for what is yours? So in the end, the master commands the steward not because it's dishonest, but because it's prudent. He's putting an emphasis on the prudence of this steward. And I don't know you, but prudence doesn't really sound a nice virtue to me. Or at least it didn't sound a nice virtue. When I thought about prudence, I thought of a bunch of no's that people tell me, so I shouldn't do things just for some weird and random good that will come eventually to me. And that's why maybe I have prudence. The image I have of prudence is an old, wise lady who tells you what not to do. And maybe because it comes from my own experience with my grandma. I remember my grandma when she was already in her 80s. She's old, she has a cane, And when she came visit once a week to our family, towards the end of her visit was calling me, and she always had nicknames for me. So, honey, come here. Yes, Grandma. You know, don't go out on weekends. Don't come back home late. Don't drive around when it's dark, because you never know how people are. You know, you may get in an accident. Do not let your mom worry about you and what you do. Do not go out with bad friends. And so all these don'ts and don'ts and don'ts. And so when every time she was, honey, come here. And she did it twice to me, and eventually I figured it out. So when she came the third time, honey, come here. I say, Grandma, I need to say something to you. Yes, tell me. Grandma, on weekends, do not go out. Do not go out dancing and partying. Stay with good friends. Do not let us worry where you are and what you do. So of course she laughs, and that was my way to give her a hard time. But I think that kind of explains, I don't know if you're with me with that, but we think about prudence as something that shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that. While what prudence really does comes from a word that says that you are provident, so you look ahead and you know what you want. You really know what you want, you have clear goals, and so you find a way to achieve those goals. You know how we like driven people. So driven, so committed to their mission, so committed in what they do. They don't mess around, they don't waste time, and sometimes you say, I wish I was like him. Because they can achieve so much stuff. And so prudence is what the Lord is calling us to. And I think we can have many different ways to apply a way to look at our future. It's full of young people tonight. Guys, have you ever thought about dating? Have you ever thought that maybe for 95% of you, your spouse is out there? Maybe there's somebody out there one day you will marry. You will be in front of God and the altar and vow love and life for the rest of your life. And maybe the person that you are dating now, the person you want to date now, is not actually your spouse. Maybe your spouse is out there and is dating someone else. How would you like that someone else, boyfriend or girlfriend of your future spouse, treat your future spouse? No, would you like them to go into the game, how far is too far? Would you like them to hurt each other, physically, emotionally, or whatever? Or would you like them to respect each other? So that maybe one day your spouse, despite having dating here and there maybe, they will be whole and entire and ready because they've saved the best part for their marriage. And my spouses that are already here tonight, how are you working to your marriage? You know, if you have clear goals, if you want your marriage to work, the only thing you can do is to both of you work at your marriage. Now, there's nothing too hard. Actually, sometimes it can be hard. But if both of you want to have the marriage work, if both of you are committed to have that marriage work, there's nothing will stop you. Even more if faith is part of it. You vow on the day of your wedding to bring the other person to heaven, to bring your kids to heaven, to have a way to represent to all of us the love that God has for us. And our parents and grandparents have a lot to put up with. Children, grandchildren have to be great examples, and we all know we're not perfect. We all know we have our shortcomings and we make mistakes. But you know, if we try our best, if we try our best to change now, it will be so much easier later. You know, with age, generally, our vices come out. With age, generally, we don't give our best anymore. We're tired. Our body aches. And so this is the time, you understand how important it is to have clear goals, a meaning, a purpose, so that you know what you want, you know what God calls you to have and to be. So things that don't belong, you're able to say no. Because only if you can say no sometimes, then your yeses have a meaning. Now, if you're one of those people who says yes to anything and everything, well, what kind of value has your yes? I can ask you anything, and not because you're generous, you need to protect yourself. That man said, the steward, I'm not strong to dig. I'm ashamed to beg. He knew what he didn't want to do. He had to weed out some options. He said, this is what I can do, and he had a clear goal. There's a second part to the marshmallow experiment. A few years later, other professors had the same experiment, but they twisted a little bit. So they got the children, but they divided the children in two batches. And to some, they give reliable experience, and to someone else did unreliable experience. So they give to all the children small boxes of crayons and small stickers. And to all the children, they promised, I give you later bigger ones. I give you later better ones. But to half of the children, they didn't maintain the promise. They were not faithful to what they said. To the other half of the children, they were faithful. So you can imagine when you come and you do the marshmallow experiment, those who had a previous reliable experience wanted to wait, because they understood that delaying gratification is possible and it's worth. It is worth to say no at times to things, because you actually say yes to big things that are in front of you, that gives meaning and purpose to your life. And also it proves them that they are able to wait. You are able to wait. You are able to say no, despite the pressures you feel. You're able to say later, because I want to say no to these small things now, to say yes to the great things that is awaiting for me. This Sunday is a catechetical Sunday, where we acknowledge catechists, educators, teachers, and parents. Environment is very important. The impact we can have on each other in being faithful to our words, in encouraging each other, in having good and positive experience, good and positive comments, support and build up one another. Makes a difference also when for each other comes a time that we need to say no's, and we need to make tough and unpopular decisions, but because actually we're saying yes to something greater. May the Lord give you the strength and the courage. Some people like to synthesize their life, or maybe their mission, their purpose, with a Bible verse or a sentence. So if you have to put a sentence on your life, on your meaning, on your purpose, a Bible verse or something, what will it be? If you start to have a clear idea where you're going, then you know what belongs. When you know when to say yes to things or say no to things.